Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be answering a question that I actually get a lot, especially on my Vietnam War series, regarding the difference between the 20 and 30 round magazine for the AR-15 and when the 30 rounder started becoming issued and used widely and all that stuff. So we're going to kind of go over a brief history of why they adopted the 20 rounder in the first place, and then all the way up until when the 30 rounder got adopted. So basically, I just got these little toys in the background to show you the difference and what they look like in an AR magwell. So in the early 1960s, right, Eugene Stoner and the rest of the crew that was designing the AR-15, or what would become the M16 and all that stuff, were focused on kind of keeping with traditions on the 20 round capacities from the M14 and the FAL at the time had the 20 round magazine, and then subsequently the G3 or the SETME had a 20 round magazine. So they figured that even though this was going to be a smaller caliber, that a 20 round magazine was still sufficient enough for capacity. So they came out with the 20 rounder. Now the original 20 rounders were like a waffle kind of stamped thing, and they were made of really soft aluminum, so they were actually made to be disposable. Later on, they kind of adjusted the construction to make them a little bit more stronger. They could be reused and stuff. But initially, the 20 rounders were also made for the 7.6251, and then later on the 5.56. So yeah, that's kind of the brief history of why. I mean, there's several theories and conspiracy theories about why they went with the 20 rounder and stuff like that. Basically, that's what I've gathered. That makes the most sense, and that's what Eugene Stoner was quoted to have been saying, that the 20 rounder was going to be sufficient enough for the platform and for the intent of this weapon. Now, what happened was, and this is also something that Mr. Stoner said back in the day when he was being interviewed, said that when U.S. troops went to Vietnam and they had their 20 round magazines in the M16, and they were getting shot at primarily by AK 47s with 30 round magazines, it was basically what seems to be kind of what happened was they wanted their own version of a 30 round magazine. I don't know why. Maybe they couldn't be outdone by some communist crap, some idealistic shit like that. But basically, production and experimentation began on a 30 round magazine in the mid 1960s. Some probably earlier on, but they couldn't really get a good design fielded. So basically, they ran into a few problems with the early 30 rounders, right? So as you can see, the 20 rounder is just a straight 20 round box mag. Nothing really to it. 20 rounds of 5.56 doesn't take up that much space. And it's a pretty simple magazine, easy to use, easy to manufacture. It's also a lot better to be shooting when you're prone. You see on this M6 or the M16 that it sits a lot closer to the ground than we'll say this carbine. Carbine's like, it's really hard to shoot prone with a 30 round magazine. So that's kind of, I think, another little side benefit of the 20 rounder. But the 30 does have a capacity. Now, if you'll notice, this magazine is not a curved, fully curved magazine. This AK-47 magazine is fully curved from here to adjust for the taper of the cartridge, albeit 7.6239 is a much more tapered cartridge when you stack them together. Still, they ran into problems because this is a straight magazine with a bend in it. It's not a fully curved one. So that's one of the design flaws of the early 30 rounders, even though aesthetically they look pretty much the same as the original ones. They had problems with the follower and the actual curvature of this, and they wouldn't feed. And they were issuing them out to like the 5th Special Forces Group and the MACV SOG units. In about 1969 is the first time you see them actually being tested out in the field. Up until then, you're going to see even the GAU-5s, XM177, and E1, all the carbine versions of the AR, were going to be used with the 20 round magazine. So, but in 1969, they started experimenting, sending these to Vietnam, and they had a lot of problems with the issues that I just said. There's a lot of feeding issues. They wouldn't. I mean, you got a lot of failure to feeds out of these early ones because of the fact that it's a straight magazine with a bend in it. And later on, they started figuring out some of those issues. But in 1969, they were pretty much not well liked by the people who had to use them and try them out. So what ended up happening is by the end of the Vietnam War, less than 1,000 of these 30 rounders were actually sent to Vietnam. So for the Vietnam War, you're going to see 20 round magazines for the most part, right? So that's just to kind of answer that little question. Now, you see pictures of some special ops units, special forces group, MACV SOG, like I just said, that are going to have a carbine with a 30 round magazine. Now, again, those are extremely rare, and again, a lot less than, or around 1,000 of these were sent to Vietnam in the entirety. So, and then after Vietnam, the 20 rounder was still the official magazine until the early 1980s, late 1970s, when they actually came out with, I don't know all those different models of the 30 round magazine, but they came out with a follower that kind of, the spring system and the follower actually worked. And so they started using the 30 rounders in the early 80s. So they were trying to make them out of steel, aluminum, experimenting with the bend, how to do that and everything. And they finally came out with the 30 rounders that we were, we are still using today, even though plastic magazines, polymer mags, are taking over, and they actually on the inside are fully curved like this. So that's pretty interesting. But anyway, so I think the first conflict that the 30 rounders were widely used was the invasion of Grenada in 1983. So that's when you're going to start seeing these being used in the M16A1 and the CAR-15 series weapons. And then subsequently, of course, in the later 80s, you got the M16A2. And voila, you've got 30 rounders from there on out. Now, that being said, I've done a bunch of empirical research on this topic, and there's some consistencies and there's some inconsistencies. I've just compiled the consistencies and what I've learned about in the past, and just to make sure that I was correct on this information. I'm not an expert. This is just what I've observed, and even getting, firsthand primary source accounts from veterans who were there that said, no, I saw one guy in 1970 with a 30 rounder, that's it, and there was nothing before that. So it's just kind of evidence based on personal experience, and then what the military said, and the fact that the early 30 rounders just were not that great. So I mean, this is a modern one. In 2009, they came out with, I believe, this anti-tilt follower, and it's a way better thing. This mag is dated 2013. It's a Colt, so these are surplus, and then this is actually a Vietnam era surplus one made by Adventureline. The followers back then were aluminum, which is really interesting. So you see the follower today, well, they've been polymer for a long time, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's got an actual bullet instead of just a little shape. So there's that. But yeah, so all right, I'll quit rambling. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and consider supporting the channel. You can do that a couple different ways. You can look at the description and see that. Hopefully you learned something. I'll be getting some more videos up here in the next coming months. I've been kind of busy lately with some stuff, but yeah, I had a lot of requests for this video, so hopefully this answers some of your questions. Again, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and continue to watch my other videos. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe again. And then, yeah, consider supporting the channel through either Patreon or my online store. Both links are in the description. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you on the next video.